Hey y'all, Data Guy here. And today I got kind of a video I wanted to make just because I realized I work in Python every day and I make almost all my videos on it, but I've never made a video just on how, someone can get into the basics of Python. And I think that is an injustice. So today in this video, I'm going to be going through, just what Python is, some really easy, simple examples that you can try out, and just kind of see how easy it is to get started with Python for automation, for data analysis, for for really anything. Python is great because it's super lightweight, it's very functional code, and it can do almost anything. It's really adaptable. There's all these different libraries, things you can install to help make Python work for a certain use case. So the way you get started with Python, and also if you like these videos, if you like my channel, please like and subscribe. Helps me out a ton, and that's enough groveling. So the way you get started with a new Python file is just create a new file with the .py at the end. So if you see here in my file, because I created it via VS Code, it doesn't actually show the .py, which is annoying. But if I save this as you'll first python.py, you'll see I can just have this .py at the top of my screen. That's what defines it as a Python file. So if you write this code in a regular text file, it's not going to work. And the first thing that we can do is just run print hello world. And if you're using a editor like I am, then you can just, typically this is VS Code. It's kind of like a notebook style interface, and this will have the ability to just run Python files in a terminal file. If you're not, if you don't have a code editor, if you just want to write your stuff in TextEdit doing .py, up to you. It's really your prerogative. The way you'll then run Python scripts is just by going, so hey, if I go up to make sure I'm using Python 3, so this will set my version of Python. And then here, I'm just calling this particular file. So if I actually lscd to first python.py, where is it? Go out, cd into p8s, and then run first python.py. So first, and then this is actually a way I can write Python directly in the terminal. So if you just write Python 3, if you've installed Python 3, if you haven't, brew install Python 3. And so what I can do here is the same thing. I can go print hello world, and you'll see it'll have the same action. So this is just a way if you want to interact with Python in a keyboard functionality, you have that choice. And then you can exit by typing in exit, and you'll see you're back to your normal terminal. And so if you want to do the same, so with a script, so before I did the full call reference out to where Python 3 is and my file, but you can also just type in Python 3 first python.py and run your file like that at the terminal. So now you kind of see the different ways you could run your Python scripts. I also want to show you, how you can interact with, let's say, data with Python. And so what you'll do there is you have, variables like you've defined ever since you were doing algebra. A equals 5, b equals 3, sum, and then you can print the sum. And you can see here, you can store the results of an arithmetic equation in another variable and then print that and just and this is just obviously showing some basic examples, but any kind of mathematical operation that you would be doing, you can write within Python in this kind of manner, save it, and maybe you have a script that just does that equation for you now. So here, if I run this script here, you'll see it'll print out my sum 8 after it does a math. And so Python will execute sequentially. So you'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can execute individual lines, but by default, it'll just execute the entire Python script. Now, additionally, what you have, if let's say, I want to build on just this basic Python example, and I want to now, let's say, create a list of all my favorite fruits. So here I can have a list of fruits equals apples, banana, and cherry, and for each fruit in that list, print it out. And so what this is showing is the presence of for loops. So for each fruit in fruits, so then it knows for each of these individual values within the fruits variable. And so you'll notice we didn't actually define this ahead of time, but what this does is allows us to reference each data point within this array of data as fruit. So if I want to do something other than print, or maybe I wanted to add apple underscore rotten, right? Then I can print fruit plus underscore rotten, right? And so here, what'll happen is apple rotten, banana rotten, cherry rotten. So this is a really great or easy way to make edits or perform some operation on every single sequence of data within a for loop, where you don't have to set, hey, manually add rotten to the end of these three fruits when they turn rotten. You have a for loop that does it all. You just have to write the underscore rotten postfix once. Sorry, I was forgetting my English class words there. Now, in addition to for loops, you also have conditional logic. So you have things like if statements. And so here you see I have my age is 18, and I want to make an if statement that says if age is greater than 18, print you are an adult, greater to or equal than 18. Else, print you are a minor. So here you can see if I run this for script, it'll say, hey, you are an adult, but if I Benjamin Button it and I actually age or de-age a year, I can become a minor. And so this is, if you want to maybe only perform an edit on data if it meets a certain condition, maybe you want to check if something's there. If it's not there, don't perform an action. This is where you have if-else loops that come in to perform that exact functionality. Now, let's say you want to have, Python's function that you want to be able to use over and over again, right? So here I have define def, and so this is how you define a function with the def keyword. Then you'll have the name of your function, greet, and then you'll have a variable that you want to be introduced into your function. And so what this means is that when you call greet, you have to call it with a name here. And then this function will return hello name. And here, instead of, let's say every time I want to greet someone, I have to write out this whole return f. Instead, what I can do is just say, hey, actually I want to say hi to Alice and Benjamin. And then all I have to do is call that function again, print greet, and you can also nest this inside of another function because print is also a Python function that just automates the process of sending a string into your terminal window down below here. Now, another thing you can do with Python is read and write to files. So you can interact with external data sources. So here, what you could do is, let's say I want to open a file, write it as example.txt, and write hello Python. And then I want to print .file read. So here, what I can do if I run this script, just save it. And then if I go into my local file directory, so let's actually open up a folder, you'll see I have, my example.txt. So hello Python now in my example.txt folder. So super useful for, hey, if I want to automatically create a file, and you can extend this to, create data sets, to write down data, to write down transcribed messages, to do things like web scraping. And it's just super, valuable function to be able to interact directly from code with an external file source. You also have libraries like pandas. So if you want to import a library within Python, you have this import pandas as PD. But likely before you actually are able to, sorry, I guess this is really breaking a lot of acceptance, being able to access this root directory. So here, if you haven't already installed pandas, which I have, you can write pip install pandas. And so pip install is how you install really any Python library. So you can also do wheel files, which are like more unsupported, and you have to actually copy the whole library over manually. But things like pandas, I won't get too deep into it because this is just kind of going to the basics of Python, but is a very common library within Python for interacting with data. So you'll see here, if I import pandas as PD, then I can create a data array. So here, I have a data dictionary actually. I'm sorry, not an array. So I have name, which has an array Alice, Bob, and Charlie of different names, and age with an array of different ages. And then you'll see here what pandas will allow you to do is take a dictionary of full of arrays and turn it into a data frame. And the advantages of a data frame are that it is, what most people would consider to be a traditional data set, where you have, different columns and rows, and take kind of this more unstructured data and turns it into a format where you can actually perform analysis, manipulate it, and interact with it. So here, if I save this file, print it, let's see. So here I had to resort to the good old Python 3 terminal way of calling it, because this button was broken for whatever reason. I think it's because some kind of permissions I probably did screwed it up. But here you can see what this will do is take that kind of more raw unstructured data and turn it into this easily workable data frame. So there's a lot of different things that you can actually do with Python that allows you to take data that's many different sources, have a structured way to manipulate it, to change it, to put it into a frame like a data frame, and then you can make it use of it for data analysis or really anything downstream. Now, one of the hottest things, now we're kind of going a little more advanced these last two, but I just want to show you just kind of some simple examples of some more complex topics. Here we have a Python script that is doing some web scraping. So here, what you can get is you have this Beautiful Soup, and Beautiful Soup is basically just a web scraping utility that will take a raw endpoint and turn it into actually workable output. So here you can see I have example domain where what it'll do is it'll take or perform a URL request, get it, and then just give me whatever text it is. Now, for example.com, this is just literally an example site that is designed to output example domain. So you can see the output of that shown there. However, if I wanted to go something like facebook.com, and this will probably break it if I'm correct. Yeah, Facebook, actually no. So there we go, Facebook login or sign up. And it'll just tell you what the header of that website is. So it's really easy to take this, then automate with something like Airflow, where hey, if I want to train a chatbot on the Reddit API, skim it every day, save it in a database, and boom, you're cooking. Now, the final thing I wanted to show you was machine learning with scikit-learn with Python. So here, sklearn, really popular, kind of just open source machine learning and just most people's first step as they kind of get into more advanced, predictive models and things like that. So here you have sklearn datasets, load iris, and this is just an example dataset of the classic different irises of flowers. Then you have the tree classifier, which is just the decision tree classifier, so the type of machine learning model used. And then you can see here iris equals load iris, decision tree classifier, and then running some predictions. So here, if we run this file again, you will see we are going to get 0 predictions on this. So interesting stuff there. And there's probably something wrong with it. Not sure exactly what that is, and not really the point of this video. It's more just kind of conceptual stuff. And sorry to end it on a note where it doesn't produce much interesting, but maybe if we run again, yeah, just not doing any good predictions. So I'll have to go take that up with scikit-learn, but I hope that if you stuck out this whole video, you found some good value here, and that you've learned some new things that you can now use in your day-to-day life. So that's all I have for today. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and Data Guy out. Peace.